Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Writers Podcast. And I have with me a guest today, Gregory Phillips. Hello, Gregory. How you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
You're most welcome. And Gregory was supposed to be part of a trio, so we're waiting. We're hoping that the other guests will show up, but if they don't, we're just going to work this one as a solo. And Gregory, you are a literary writer, correct?
Yes.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a literary writer?
Sure. So I've just always loved literature since a very young age, and it began writing actually quite young when I was a teenager. And I love literary fiction in particular. I feel like fiction, first of all, is such a beautiful art form in that you can, in some ways, mirror real life through a fictional journey.
Right.
And so and with literary fiction in particular, I feel like there's no true formula to it. So you can see where the characters go, see where the story takes you. And for me as a writer, that becomes really fascinating. And especially in my latest novel, A Season in Lights, it ended up going in much different directions than I anticipated.
Okay. Now, because you are my first literary writer guest, I just want to expand or drill a little bit deeper into that because most people that listen to this probably are like me or primarily genre readers. So for a literary piece, my expectations would be that the language is a little more elevated. I mean, some people might derogatorily say purple. I don't know if that's if you take offense to that, but is that a fair view?
It is fair in a sense, but hi, Echo.
Hello.
I tend to write with a different style because I want my books to be very, very accessible.
Okay.
And so to me, story and character always come first. And so the elevated language that you often associate with literary fiction that you just mentioned is something that I actually shy away from because I don't think it's necessary. And I think that then the story can come across to a wider audience. And so I have many readers who are more genre readers who have really enjoyed my books because of that.
Okay. Very cool. And as I mentioned when we started, we were expecting other guests, and we have one of them show up now. Hello, Echo. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine. So
great
about that.
No, not a worries. Do you know if your third is showing up?
He should be.
Okay.
Can grab my phone and send him a quick message and remind him.
Well, I think Gregory already copied him on the email, so hopefully he's gotten that.
Let me text him real quick.
Okay, sure. And then we'll just continue with you, Gregory. So that's interesting. And sorry for the break and flow, but so you write in fairly clean language then? You don't try to let the words get in the way of what you're doing?
I in fact try not to. When I go back to edit my projects, I try to make it very, very crisp and snappy. And you may see a tail swish across the camera there. That's my cat. Wants to be included.
That's okay. That's good.
But yeah, so the literary term sometimes has been something that is I've at certain points hesitated to use it to apply to myself because of the impression that it does give sometimes that it may be more inaccessible. But I've eventually embraced it because I don't write genre fiction. I write contemporary fiction with it that has I think has a deeper meaning to it. I always like to use it to just make people aware about something about the world or about people that they may not have thought of before if they didn't have those experiences themselves. And so then to do that with a very accessible reading style.
Right. So maybe just as a good example, you could talk about what your most recent book is about and how that your elevator pitch, if you have one, or just what it's about. That would probably clarify what you're talking about.
Yeah. So my latest novel, it's called A Season in Lights, and it's a story of passion, ambition, and escape set in the colorful, artistic underworld off Broadway in New York City. And I came to that story having been a performing artist myself for many years, and wanted to give sort of a bit of a backstage glimpse into the world of the performing arts. And at first, as I was writing it, was really only that, but it became, as I mentioned, you let the story kind of take you where it's going to take you. And I'd written a pretty complete version of the story up to 2019. Then when the pandemic started in March of 2020, I wanted to show the effect of that, and particularly the shutdown of Broadway and other performance venues, on the performing artists and that world. And not only just the physical and the financial impact that had, but the psychological impact, and to just really show people who might not have been in that world a different perspective on it. And it was very interesting because in the original version of the novel, before I had any idea that COVID was coming, the novel also ties back into the 1980s and the AIDS crisis, especially within the performing artists world of New York City. And so it ended up being this unexpected parallel of these two deadly diseases and how it affected those communities. And so with that, the novel ended up being something much deeper and I think more impactful than when I originally envisioned the story.
Okay, well, that's very cool. Life, life imitating art, or helping art out. So we have a guest with us also, is Echo. And Echo, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an author. I've written 22 nonfiction books, and about a year and a half ago, I got involved with a small company that my son, Connor Judson Garrett, had started. And because after being published by the Big Five in New York, successfully self-publishing the first book that was subsequently picked up by Random House, doing hybrid publishing, just exploring a lot of different routes as an author myself, I was hearing from many of my friends that we just were looking for a different model of a publishing company, and I wanted to be involved with something that would treat authors the way I wanted to be treated by publishers, and to really pour my heart into working with other authors who I felt had really beautiful, important stories to tell. I'm in the books that I've chosen, the authors I've chosen to represent my taste, which I have I love a lot of different genres, and but I look for incredible storytelling, important work, in both fiction and nonfiction, and stories that are going to have a purpose, have some sort of meaning, beyond simply telling a good story. And I look for authors who are really passionate about their work. And and I'm in it for the long term. So,
So this led you to form Lucid House Publishing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so you serve a wide genre of writers. We've been talking to Gregory. He's a literary writer. Well, what other genres do you represent?
Well, we have fantasy. This is my son Connor and my husband Kevin's book. It's the first of a trilogy. It's a historical fantasy. It's set around Savannah and the surrounding swamps there here in Florida. The second book will be set in Puerto Rico. the third, and it touches on the Puerto Rican nationalist movement and, in the late 1930s, early 40s. And then it winds up, the book trilogy winds up in New Orleans.
Okay.
We also have financial books. This is Money Plain and Simple. It just won a major award as the best financial book, with Book Excellence Awards. And it is a mind-blowing book. The subtitle is What the Institutions and the Elite Don't Want You to Know.
Okay.
And there is so much of what our author, Stephen J. Spence, wrote about is exactly what is happening right now. And he predicted all of this regarding the global monetary system. I felt like that book is fascinating. Paradise Road is a memoir, and that's been compared somewhat to Cheryl Strayed's Wild. And it is, memoir is one of my personal favorite genres, and this book is one of the best books I've ever read. It's won multiple awards. It's like Gregory's has, and it's a beautiful book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a varied portfolio for sure. So I'm curious then, how do you get in touch with various writers? Like, for instance, how did you and Gregory hook up? Do you seek him out, or did he seek you out, or how did that work for the two of you?
Let's see. We met originally at a book event, and out in Texas, and I didn't really know Gregory that well, but then his book was passed to me because I think you can speak to this, Gregory. I think one of the publishers he was looking for a new publisher. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And after Echo and I met a few years before, I'd just been aware of her Lucid House project and was very curious. And so initially it was me approaching the Lucid House team, and along with several other publishers at the time. And among other things, one of the things that I liked with working with Echo was her enthusiasm over the project was really different than what I got from other publishers. That she believed in it. She believed in the timing of it. With my novel in particular, dealing with current events, that speed to market was important. So it just ended up being a really great partnership. Okay.
Very cool. And so what services does Lucid House Publishing offer their authors?
Well, again, I think we're unusual because every author has a different purpose for their book, different dream. And so we want what we do to be guided in partnership with the authors. That's why I'm so careful about I'm very picky about who I want to work with. One of my it even says on our website, you have to be a kind person.
Okay.
This isn't the place for you.
She's talking about you, Gregory.
Yeah, so I want kind, uber talented people who understand that they need to work as hard as we're going to work for them, because it really is a partnership. Because ultimately, booksellers and people who are buying your book want to hear from you. They don't really care who your publisher is, but I care because I want to make sure that you are getting exactly what you are wanting. So I give people, I have a team of my designers, the person I trust to do content editing and copy editing, the person who does interior design, who does indexes, all that stuff. And I am super picky because I want it to be what I would want from my own book. Sure. And so then we work closely with the author, and we also will look for, I'll help with trying to get blurbs, trying to help create those relationships with booksellers who might make sense in your area of the country, your region. Because I've been a journalist for 40 years, I have a tremendous wide range of contacts throughout the industry. So
Nice.
I'll contact people when I think it's appropriate. I also have contacts in the movie industry, as well as we're sitting in Atlanta, Georgia. We're in the hotbed of the film and television industry. So long term, I look at this company as more of an entertainment company. And I know that sounds like a big goal, but I learned from my dad to always dream big. So
well, it certainly sounds like it. Sounds like you've got the full suite of services. If I understood what you said correctly, you've got like book design, editing, copy edit, distribution. And I assume you have connections to all the like major outlets, like whether it's Amazon or Kobo and things of that nature as well. Yes,
and one of my authors, and I have some authors who are overseas, and one of them, I was just talking to her this morning, and she was just delighted because she found that our books are on her book just popped up on Book Depository, so which is very important for Europe, of course. So she was so excited about that. So,
okay, can you, for our viewers, can you tell us what Book Depository is?
Book Depository is kind of competes with Amazon in other parts of the world where Amazon can be really expensive for those folks. Book Depository is wonderful for people who are in Europe and they want to get books from here, from the US, and they can get them through Book Depository for quite inexpensively. And it's good for them and it's good for us. So it's a broader reach. Yeah.
So Gregory, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your experiences then working with Echo. Like, how do you find the process? Is it very give and take for you, or like do you get input into book covers and things of that nature?
Yeah, it's very corroborative, which I really like. So the book cover, Echo's team is really strong with that. They have some very good artists, and so I let them take the lead on that. But then they sent me several, I think 6 mock-ups of of cover ideas, and to me, there was a very clear best one. I think Echo agreed. And so then we went with that. But it was, but yeah, there was definitely, the opportunity for input with that. And then, editorial. But I came to Lucid House with my book having already been professionally edited, because that's in this environment, that's for authors, any authors listening out there, that's a must before you approach a publisher. It's just, unless you're already a household name author, that's the expectation of the current market. So, but then editorial, Echo and her team did do, some additional editing and the final copy editing, and all of that was, I was, very involved with all of that, which was great.
Well, and we also we put Gregory's book through a sensitivity reading, because one of the characters is Black and is an older man who was in the arts during the 1980s. And ironically, my husband and I lived there during that time, and we were very much a part of the arts community when we lived in New York. And so one of my friends is Jeffrey Owens, who was a star on the Cosby Show. He graduated from Yale with a degree in Shakespearean theater. He's directed Shakespeare in the Park. He's a phenomenal actor, and so he read Gregory's book and was so impressed with it that he gave it a beautiful blurb, and I believe he called it a love letter to New York City's performing arts community. And it's actually, we used his blurb on the cover of the book. And then I have another good friend who lived in New York during that same time, who is like the character in the book, is a classically trained jazz pianist. And he's also Black. And so both of them read the book to make sure that everything, number one, that everything was proper in New York during that time period, that it fit. And it was great, because and I know I think Gregory really appreciated their input, because there were just a few minor things. Jeffrey's lived in New York all of his life, so there were just a few simple things that he caught, that just needed to be corrected. So,
all right. So I'm curious. Even though this is a collaborative process, and I'm sure that you have a great working relationship, but there must be times, or maybe there hasn't been yet, but there might be times with not maybe Gregory, but with other writers, where you're at odds about a certain decision, or like an edit or a book cover, and that. Who has final say? Do you?
With all of our authors, we haven't. If they feel strongly, there's been a couple times where they haven't liked a cover or whatever, or haven't liked, and so we just go back and forth until they're happy and I'm happy. Okay. But I'm not going to let anything. I have a cover, and ironically, it's on one of my books, that I do not like the cover, and so I just spoke with the author, my co-author, recently, and he's agreed to let me. We're going to change the title and we're going to change the cover, because it's not working. And it just won. It was one of the ones that was a finalist in the awards that I think are the reason we're on your show. And but I'm not happy with it. So
so that's a good segue then. Let's talk about the Book Excellence Awards. What does that organization represent, and why is it so important?
Well, they deal with independent authors as well as indie publishers, and it's very competitive. It's an international competition. They get a couple of thousand entrants, and I entered 8 books, and we had 6. Only one of them was from another publisher, and it was a book that I co-authored. And all the other ones that I entered were from Lucid House, and out of 8 books, we had 7 winners and finalists.
Wow! Congratulations! Yeah.
So I was hoping for that, but it was a complete shock for that to happen, when we are so young still. Right. So that was really just. It was very exciting.
And what is their criteria for evaluating excellence?
They evaluate on, obviously, on content. They evaluate it on the look and feel, the cover. They evaluate it on the presentation of the material. And they have independent judges. I believe they have like 3 judges for it that are out somehow in the field for every category, and they have several categories. But yeah, so I was absolutely thrilled to win. To win it out of that many entries. That was really exciting. So.
Okay, and was Gregory's book one of the 7?
Oh yeah. Gregory, you want to? You tell him.
So so there are several different categories that they put the books in, and mine was in I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was books specifically about the performing arts, and it won first prize in that category. So whenever as a writer, whenever your book is presented an award, it's incredibly validating. Because readers will say one thing or another. You just never know, and sales numbers can be all over the map. But when a panel of people in the industry, evaluate your book and give you an award, it really means a lot. And this was actually the third major award that this novel has won. So it's been very well received.
Congratulations. What were the other two? If you don't
The other
mind?
two were the Somerset Awards, which is put out by Chanticleer Reviews in Bellingham, Washington. And the Somerset Award is for the best in contemporary and literary fiction, and it won the grand prize in that award. And it was also named Book of the Year by the Wright Review. Okay,
very good. So this organization, is it based in the States or is it international, or the Excellent Awards? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Yes, it is based in the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you distribute your books. I assume are they on print to demand, or do you set out? Because if they are, then I would assume you would revise the cover to include the acknowledgement of the winning such an award. Yes,
we do. We're going to have to revise several of our books, so that's next up, because Gregory and Paradise Road both keep winning. They've already won multiple awards.
Okay.
They're our best-selling books right now, and it's pretty exciting. And I'm especially proud because, so we need. And Gregory didn't even mention he's won even more awards than that. So,
okay, wanted to grab a copy to hold up for you. So,
okay, sure.
There we go.
Oh yes, I see. Okay, very cool. Nice.
Yeah. Really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you won, you were a finalist in Best Book Cover, weren't you, for that? Or was that in another one? Anyway, I can't even remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Book cover design, it says here.
Yeah.
Book cover design. So did you want to mention I can't remember who your third guest was going to be. What his book was?
Connor. You know what? Actually, if you could give me a second, I'll get. My husband is also the co-author. I could I'll trade places with him, and he can come talk to you about his book. All right.
Oh, this is exciting! I'm just doing all new stuff this episode. But I'll just have to try not to call him Echo.
Yeah.
Echo, not Echo. So this is this Book Excellence Award is a fairly prestigious thing, then, I would think.
Yeah. And it also just helps to you always see a little bit of a boost in the sales after an award, just because it gives it some publicity and visibility too, which for any author, but especially smaller authors who aren't necessarily the household names, that little bit of visibility can, it's online, it gets you a little bit more out there, and it just always helps to just get the word about your book into more hands, and it's more people to see it, which is half the battle these days, is just getting it seen, getting people to know about it.
Yeah, there's just so much content out there nowadays, not just in books, but everything. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey,
Kevin.
Hello, Gregory.
Good to see you.
Hey, how are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing great. I love your background, man.
Thank you.
He's got an even bigger library than I do.
He
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
So I hope you don't mind this impromptu kind of guerrilla warfare interviewing that we're doing here, but I wanted to give the other guest a chance to talk about their book as well. So I understand that you're a co-author in this one.
I am indeed. I wrote Spellbound Under the Spanish Moss with my son, Connor Judson Garrett, and
Okay.
currently stationed in Beirut, Lebanon, and probably doesn't have power this evening.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize he was so far off, but yeah. So why don't you talk a little bit about this book then? What's it about?
Set in 1920s coastal Georgia near Savannah, and
Okay.
magical tale of a father and son, a widower father and his teenage son. They're a fishing duo, and they come in from fishing one afternoon, and the father's bitten by a large one-eyed rattlesnake.
Mm.
And, they're not near a hospital, and they need to get help and medical attention. The father's going to die because he took a full shot of venom.
Mm.
He has his son take him to the witch's cottage, and there's a long old story there about how the witch, he'd had some experience with her when he was younger.
Right.
And, anyway, and she sends the son on a quest for 5 ingredients that she's going to use to make a potion that could heal his father. And
Okay.
she sends her raven along the way. And as they go along the journey, he finds out and discovers that the raven is a shape-shifting teenage girl.
Mm.
And was given that power by her mother, and she's sent along to make sure that it goes well and that the witch has some kind of control over it. So it's the adventures there of how they go through and solve the son's problem. They do a little growing up along the way, and we address some issues like parental abandonment and foster parents, and learning to be okay with yourself and who you are exactly.
Right. Right. And was this drawn on life experiences, or like how did you collaborate on this? Like, who came up with the idea, and how did you flesh it out like this?
Well, we knew we wanted to write a tale of magical realism. We knew that we wanted to write it together, and we wanted to set it in the South. And it was just a day by day thing. It's not like we started with an outline on it. Each day, using a shared Google document and WhatsApp while he was in Beirut, we wrote the book. We had
cool.
Right every morning. It's something that Gregory and I've talked about before also, is that, we had a plan, and it was something that we hit every day. And, there was a responsibility to come each morning with an idea. And if I got stuck, he had one, or if he got stuck, busy, I came with something. So we were able to keep the story moving that way. And in a way it was. I mean, if Connor was here, he would talk about it. But I mean, Connor had really terrible skin problems when he was younger, and we draw from things we've been through. I mean, my own thing was, in 2004, I was in a horrible car accident, suffered a brain injury, and it's just, you draw from the pain of that and draw to some of the characters. Connor got bullied and picked on when he was in school, and he turned into beautiful young man. He's a brilliant writer and a wonderful guy. But sometimes when you've been through things like the car wreck and the kind of torment that he went through in elementary school, you remember that, and it hopefully doesn't turn you into a mean person, but turns you into a more compassionate person. You listen a little better, and you consider other people a little bit more. Things that were easy for us before, weren't so easy during that time. And I mentioned before, I think we really, like, I wrote the book as like, I didn't have a daughter, but I've got nieces. And if I write a book for a young girl, to encourage her and love her, this is kind of the message that I would have put into a book.
Okay. So it sounds like
that's a great point.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's a great point, Kevin, about you can process things and channel things through fiction that, it just gives you a really unique ability to do that in a healthy way.
Right. And to share it with others as well.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it was probably a very cathartic experience for you and your son.
It was. And very much. It's a treasure, a high point in my life.
Okay, very cool. Well, if there's anything else that you wanted to mention at this point, I don't know if you want to switch out again or if you want to stay. It's it's fine either way. But I want to thank you very much for coming on and sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me on, Lou, and Gregory. It's great to see you today.
Likewise. Yeah.
I'll step out and find Echo, but thanks for having me on.
Super. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Wow. That sounds like quite the tale.
Yeah.
Have you read it or?
I haven't yet.
No. Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I hope you didn't try to sneak away. Go shopping or something. I don't know.
No. Oh,
Okay. So that was a very a touching segment with your husband sharing his experiences about your son and whatnot. So that sounds like a fantastic book.
It really is.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it really is. And people are asking all the time when the next one's coming out, and the next one will be out, and we're planning to release it around Valentine's Day of next year, because that one's called Fragrance of a Shadow, True Love and Other Legends. So wow.
Okay, so I think I've covered everything that I had. If there's something that you wanted to mention about your publishing company or your other writers that we haven't talked about, or the Book Excellent Awards, now's the time for it.
Yeah, we're just I'm just really proud of the group of writers that we have, and we have a lot. We only have one more book coming out this year. That is Suspension, and it's a debut. It's like a magical realism time travel novel. Very unique love story, and that's also going to be, it's going to be book one of the Time Binder series, and that's written by an incredible author. She's out of Malta. She divides her time between Sicily and Malta, and but she's originally from Wales, and she's worked at the BBC, and she actually began thinking about the story when she'd be flying in and out and seeing this this incredible bridge that was built by, I believe his name is Ishmael. Oh goodness, I just forgot his name, but he was a famous civil engineer during the 1800s, and responsible for many major projects all throughout Europe. And so she started thinking about this, and she was originally thinking, she lived quite close to a place where they produced lots of miniseries. And so she originally was thinking about it as more as a movie or an episodic series. And she's just started writing the book, and a friend of mine sent it to me, and I fell in love with it because it was unlike anything I've read, and just great characters, just and she has really good dialogue. That's one of the things I love about Gregory's book as well. When Gregory's book has some of the best monologues and great dialogue that I've read in a very long time. It was, people are comparing it to Rent, which I think is high praise.
Yes.
And it also made me think of the Philadelphia Story.
Oh yes.
With Tom Hanks. It was very powerful and moving. And he manages to talk about Black Lives Matter. I mean, there's just so much in his novel. That's my son and Kevin's novel. That's what I'm saying. I look for something that's goes deeper than just an escape novel. I'm not interested in just something that's I want people to think about these books. Like their book is short, but it stays with you. Same thing with Marilyn Crete's book. You know, they're the same thing with his book. It's just they're powerful books.
That goes to what you were asking about earlier, Lou, with when we were talking about the literary genre. And, you know, I want to write a book that, as Echo said, is powerful, but is as accessible as a genre novel would be. It's not, you know, inaccessible language the way that some literary fiction might be.
Right. And I'm glad that you've clarified that, because that's my misconception that, you know, literary tends to be very much more about the language rather than the story. So,
yeah, and I've always struggled as far as how exactly to classify my novels. I don't think they really fit into any of the current publication categories. Right. So, you know, and that's partly by intent. You know, I don't like being in a box, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I understand. One question that just came to me is, for these book excellence awards, do you, Echo, as a publisher, submit all your authors, or she just hit your camera, or should we lost? There she is. Echo, do you submit your books to this program, or do the individual, like Gregory, did you submit your book on your own behalf? Like, how does that work?
No, I submitted the authors and their books in several categories that I thought, whatever category I thought that book deserved to be in, I put it in. And so and I've done that with the ones that it gets, you know, I have to be selective about which ones I'm going to enter. Because there's a lot of contests out there, and I only focus on a few of them that I consider valuable. There's another one that's going to be announcing soon, and I'm hopeful, because I did enter some things in that. You know, I'm hopeful that we'll perhaps win some in that too. So
we'll see. So I started the interview with you, Greg, and we'll wind it up with you. What are you working on now, or what's coming up next for you?
Don't know yet. I have some projects, but it's been a little bit of a little bit stop and go as far as getting another book out there. So at this point, I'm really mostly just focusing on A Season in Lights, because I think it's incredibly timely, and just want to you know, let it reach as many people as possible. Here it is again. So if you
can you read what Jeffrey wrote about your book real quick?
Sure. He called it a heartfelt and moving love letter to New York City and its artistic community.
Nice.
So, and my full name on the book, if you want to look for me online, is Gregory Eric Phillips, and Eric is spelled the German way, ERICH. So, you know, if you're interested in it, you can connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and I'd love to hear what you think of the book. Anyone out there who's interested in taking a read.
I'll include links to your
thank you.
To your book and to the publishing house and so forth on the show notes for this as well. So, well, I really want to thank you all for your time. And this is the most guests I've had at once on a podcast. So this is a first for me as well. So it was a lot of fun, a little, you know, a little guerrilla style, but I think that makes for more entertaining. And we got to see Gregory's cat, and pets are always welcome on the show. So
let's see if he'll say hi one more time.
Hello.
There's Walter.
Hey, how you doing? All right. So thank you very much. And who knows, next year, maybe when you win some more awards or have some other books that you want to talk about, we'll talk then.
We would love that.
Thank you. Thank you, Lou.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And scene.